Welcome to
The Dark Files. I'm Emily Sweaters.
And I'm Kasie Cardigan. And today I am going to be telling everybody a story about the Blue People of Kentucky. Emily, do you know anything about the Blue People of Kentucky?
I learned about them in high school at biology.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't really remember anything about it other than, I think it was hereditary, whatever their condition was.
Yeah.
That's really all I remember.
I'm intrigued. I had multiple people request the Blue People of Kentucky, and I had never heard of them before in my life. So I spent some time deep diving the family, and I'm excited to tell you.
I'm excited too, but first I'm going to crack open my claw.
Crack it open. We need a little thing that goes, crack that claw! I'm going to work on that.
I love it when it's your week because I can just get a claw and cozy up
and just relax.
Hear a story.
We still need to get sponsored by White Claw.
Yeah, please, White Claw. I promise I've given you plenty of money.
Money. Okay, so I was giggling today. I was making videos for school, and I was talking about the zones of regulation. So I made a slide, and I was like, "Welcome to the green zone." It's like, oh my gosh, I just sound like the podcast.
That's awesome.
Okay, so here we go. Hang on, I gotta fix an eyelash. Okay, today we are talking about the Blue People of Kentucky. Okay. So first my sites, well, a lot of the sites had a lot of the same stories, so I went with the two main ones that I got stuff from, which is sites.rootsweb.com, archives.com with genealogy, and then blog.prepscholar.com. So, because one of them, I don't remember which one, but one of them was an article from 1983 where they had interviewed people involved. Not an article, but it looked like in a blog form kind of thing.
Okay. I'm excited.
So the Blue People of Kentucky. First, I want to make a distinction. Okay. So there is often a man that is shown when you Google Blue People of Kentucky. Okay. There's lots of pictures that come up, but there's a picture of this family with blue skin, but then there's also this man that's very, very blue. He kind of looks like a blue Santa Claus.
I think I've seen this picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when I was first Googling him, he, not him, but just Googling Blue People of Kentucky, he popped up everywhere.
Yeah.
But and I think, because somebody's like, oh yeah, they went on Oprah.
Oh.
But he is not one of the Blue People of Kentucky. His name is Paul Karasan. He's from, I think, the Pacific Northwest. He was rubbing a silver treatment on his face to treat a skin condition, and the exposure to that caused his skin to turn blue.
Oh my god. Permanently?
Yeah. I mean, you could Google him right now. And he's just blue. I don't know if it's permanently because I didn't research him.
Yeah.
But he just kept, his picture kept coming up.
That's crazy.
So, now we're going to go to the Blue Peeps. The Blue Peeps. Okay.
Are they the same as Smurfs?
They are not Smurfs. Similar in color, as in they're blue, but they're not small in stature, as far as I can gather. And they don't live in, what are the Smurfs, little gnomes?
Yeah, they're like little gnomes.
Yeah, they're not those. They're just mountain people that are blue.
Cool.
Okay. So, the story, as far as I can tell, starts around 1820.
Okay.
All right. So, one article mentioned a different family tree, but most articles point to 1820 and a French orphan named Martin Fugate.
All right.
Alrighty. So, but that doesn't seem like a very French name, though.
No. My high school psychology teacher's name is Mrs. Fugate.
I wonder if she's one of the Fugates.
Maybe she is.
She probably is, because I think my friend Alyssa, shout out, went to high school with some of the Fugates. She's one of the ones that told me to do the Blue People.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. Okay, so Martin Fugate.
Yes.
But imagine it with a really cool French accent.
Fugate. No, that's Italian.
Fugate. Okay. Martin Fugate arrived in Troublesome Creek, Kentucky.
Hell yeah, that's a great name.
I know, right? Troublesome Creek, Kentucky, which is in eastern Kentucky, to claim a land grant.
Okay.
Okay. Martin, I'm sure there's more to like his story, whatever,
Sure.
but I don't really know about it. Martin meets a young red-haired woman named Elizabeth Smith. So according to numerous sites, Elizabeth is described as pale.
Can relate.
I mean, yeah, not me right now, but normally, yes, I can relate.
I got this sunburn from literally sitting outside at Washington Park for 2 hours.
Oh gosh, it's like pink. It's very
cute.
pink. Yeah. Okay, so according to numerous sites, Elizabeth is described as pale, quote, as the mountain laurel that blooms every spring around the creek hollows.
Okay.
End quote. I googled mountain laurel, and they were white. They were very pale.
Okay.
Like very white.
Good description.
So she is white. I mean, there you go. She's pale. And then, however, according to a family legend, Martin is not pale. He is blue. So there was some controversy on, like, some articles were like, well, they say he was white. Other people say he was blue.
So he was blue when he got to Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. He was blue. He's just roaming around blue.
And nobody was like,
Well, I'm sure people were like, that person is blue. But yeah.
Okay.
So Martin and Elizabeth go on to have 7 children. Multiple choice question, Emily.
Okay.
If you were to guess how many of their children are born with blue skin? A, 2. B, 5. C, 7. D, 4.
7.
All right.
How many?
4 of their children were born with blue skin.
Okay.
The oldest son, Zachary, marries his mother's sister.
His aunt.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Okay. He proceeds to have multiple children, and some of them are blue. Okay. One article I read said that Zachary's children married his younger siblings.
So Zachary's kids married their aunts and uncles too?
According to one website, yeah. One or 2
Okay.
websites, yeah.
So you might not be able to answer this.
But,
So it's like, it was somewhat common practice, I think, at that time to marry your cousins.
yeah.
Was marrying your aunts the thing too?
So, I don't think everywhere, but I'll get to it later why incest was so much more common. But, I mean, I don't think it was, like, the cool thing to do. I don't. But I think I'll explain why. Okay. So, there were a few other families in the area, and the families often married within families. Okay. One article said, quote, they would marry the girl next door even if they had the same last name, end quote.
Which married somebody and you found out that they were like your brother. Would you say married to them?
No. No. But I'm pretty sure that was an episode of Private Practice.
I'm pretty sure it was too.
Where they like, he knew the whole time. And she's like, what the fuck?
Have you watched Dark on Netflix?
No.
You need to watch
Is it about incest though?
Sort of. In a roundabout way.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can handle incest. Like the Game of Thrones with the brother and the
It's
sister
not
was creepy.
overt incest.
Emily, any incest is bad incest.
No, because it's like time travel-y, and so like somebody goes back in time and like falls in love, and they don't know that it's like their relative from the future.
Like I don't know. That stuff was kind of weird. Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
No, I just am like, I don't know. That stuff kind of creeps me out. Okay. So now this is answering your question of why they did. So now every time I say Troublesome Creek, I feel like I want to be like, nah, Troublesome Creek. Now, Troublesome Creek, Kentucky was fairly isolated. By fairly, I mean like super isolated. So there were not really any roads or railroads through the town. So it was kind of like shut off to itself. They didn't really leave. People didn't really come in. Mm-hmm. So that's why people married within Troublesome Creek.
Makes sense.
But I still don't understand. I guess maybe it's just that like biological instinct to produce or like survival. Yeah. But I'm like, I still
I didn't get that
I
instinct.
I don't think I did either. Somebody's like, you have to marry your uncle to survive. I'd be like, that's disgusting.
Yep.
Okay, so as the article says, one of the articles, since family members were blue, it deterred outsiders from wanting to marry into the Fugate family.
Yeah, no
so any
shit.
outsiders that were there didn't really want to marry within that, like, into the family because they were blue.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be
Elizabeth
a little
Smith
concerning.
did, though. She fell in love with Martin.
She did, but maybe there wasn't a lot of men out for the picking.
Would you date somebody who was blue?
I would think. I don't know. Maybe.
I totally would.
I probably
if
would.
only for the Insta pictures. Imagine that filter on that.
Hashtag
blue
Insta
skin.
blue. Hashtag no filter. Funny. Okay, so the common family names within Troublesome Creek that were connected to the Fugates are the Fugates, one.
Right.
The Stacys, Combs, Richies, and Smith.
Okay.
So they all kind of intermarried. There was, like, if you Google it, some of the websites will have the full family tree. I couldn't really follow that because then you have, like, relatives marrying all these other things. So it was very confusing. Mm-hmm. Okay. So eventually, around 1912, coal mining entered the area of Troublesome Creek. Mm-hmm. And railroads arrived, and this led to different people coming into the area and Fugates leaving the area.
Oh, okay.
So once they finally got coal mining and things, but this is still like 1820 to 1912. It's still a very long time without...
Yeah.
with marrying in between the families. So then, but even then, it took 30 to 40 years to lay roads. So even though in 1912 the railroads came in, it still took decades to get roads. So there still was incest. I'm like intermarry. I don't know. Yeah. So that still was occurring because it still was
Takes a
isolated.
long time to pave a road, spray those yellow dashes on it.
How long is I-74? What's the 75 has been under construction for like 20,000 years.
Yeah. Okay, so even after the roads came, there was still several years where they were still kind of...
Well, no, even after the railroads came, because the roads really weren't all the way there yet.
I understand.
Okay, so eventually the blueness began to disappear over generations.
Oh.
And I'll explain the science of that
I'm
after.
very curious how Martin became blue in the first place.
I know, right? Okay. I was going to say, like, he drank blue Kool-Aid, but that's stupid and that doesn't make sense. Okay. So the last blue family member was Benjamin Stacy, born in Hazard, Kentucky.
Oh my God.
Dukes of Hazzard, right? Yeah. In 1975.
Damn.
Okay. So over the years, the blueness had kind of been
So he was
dispersed.
like a periwinkle.
No. It's not like... Okay, the blueness isn't... I guess it's like diluted in the sense that people are born not blue. Like, you don't just magically turn blue, like, you're born blue.
Yeah.
So, over the years, less and less people are being born blue.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Benjamin Stacy was born in Hazard, Kentucky in 1975. Okay, so over the years, the blueness was not as present. Mm-hmm. So when Benjamin Stacy was born, he was born blue, like purple blue. Like very blue. And the people at the hospital were like, what WTF? They thought he was dying.
Yeah.
So they transferred him to Lexington.
Gotcha.
To the hospital, a clinic or hospital in Lexington.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what was wrong.
And they were
with
like,
him.
yeah, we bleed blue. Go cats.
They probably were. They're like, finally, a mascot we've been waiting for. So they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And then his grandmother, I don't know if the grandma arrived or was like on the phone or whatever, but she's like, basically says, the quote changed with every article, but it's like, have you heard of the Blue People of Kentucky? Like, he looks like one of those Fugates, or that's because we're some of the Fugates, or she says something to that effect. And it turns out that Benjamin's great-grandmother was named Luna Fugate.
Cool.
Allegedly, quote, the bluest woman I ever saw, end quote. The quotes are my favorite.
So
she was the bluest woman I ever did see.
Nobody in the family had been blue since the great grandma?
Correct.
Okay.
As far as I can tell.
Yeah.
But so then the dad in one of the interviews, because they interviewed them, and the dad was like, well, I'm kin to myself if you look at my family tree.
Yeah.
So like, anyway, so the dad must have married somebody else that also had another, one of those family names too.
Sure.
I don't know if they were like first cousins, but like somehow,
yeah,
whatever. Okay, so eventually his blue skin went away and only appears in his fingernails and lips when he is angry or cold.
Ew.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
So
it's almost like a weird...
He's not blue anymore.
No, he's not blue. It gradually went away. He's like, I think there was a picture of him. He would be, what, 30-something now? 37 something? Yeah, he's not blue anymore, except when he's angry. It's almost like one of those, like... It's like a bad superpower. You know what I mean? It's like his fingertips light up blue and they don't do anything.
How weird.
Yeah. So what I think is interesting is that despite being blue, most of the Fugates lived healthy lives well into the 85 or 90 years old.
Wow, good for them.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like you hear a lot with incest that, like, I don't know, people die or, like, get humpbacks or something. I don't know.
Or like Home, the X-Files episode.
Oh, God, yeah. Okay. Anyone wants a real dark file, go watch season 4, episode 2 of the X-Files called Home. It'll freak you out for life.
It's the scariest X-Files episode. They pulled it off the air because of how scary it was.
It was scary.
I don't think it's that scary.
Okay, but when you're not expecting that. I mean, I was expecting something creepy, and then the chick under the bed? Like, that was pretty scary.
That was pretty scary.
Okay, so now that I've told you the background about the blue people of
there's no
Kentucky.
blue people anymore.
No. Well, I don't think so. He was the last blue one to be born. Okay. So now everyone needs to bear with me as I work on the science of this and the story. A lot of the second half I got from that, I think it was the blog site or whatever they did that interview from.
Gotcha. Okay.
A lot of the stories when you Google it are all kind of the same, just like a little variation.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry guys, I'm looking at my notes. All right. There was a lot of speculation in Appalachia because Gwen says that
Appalachia?
No.
Oh.
She said when she moved to Asheville that it's not Appalachia, it's Appalachia.
Yes, that's correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Appalachia, about why they were blue. And it wasn't until the 1960s that the Fugates had an answer. Dun, dun, dun!
Let's hear it.
What do you think? Why do you think they're blue?
I imagine it's some sort of genetic thing.
Okay.
A recessive gene, perhaps.
Oh!
But that's as far as I've got.
Okay. So, like I said, some of this is going to be quoted because I don't know how else to phrase it.
Yeah, it's like scientific.
It's science.
Just gotta say
Okay. Okay, but I gotta tell you this quote though, guys, that it was really sad, and Grandma mentions it, that they bring it up in the book. So a lot of the reason why it ended up being that they found out about the blue people and people were willing to go for it is because some of the family members were very embarrassed to be blue. Which is fair. Like, you can't, like, I mean, that would be, I can't even explain it. Okay, so this is one of the quotes. For some, though there was a pain not seen in lab tests, that was the pain of being blue in a world that is mostly shades of white to black.
That's very sad.
I know it's very sad, but it's kind of funny. Okay, so around 1960...
I have a bad joke.
Okay, what is it?
Blue Lives Matter.
God.
These are the only blue lives that matter.
Yeah.
The Fugates of Kentucky.
They do matter. They're important people. Okay. So around 1960, a young hematologist, who I had to Google, they study blood, hematologists study blood, named Madison Cowan. Let's go that. Let's say how that's how you say it. What did I say?
Cowan?
No.
Cowan?
Cowan was working at a clinic at the University of Kentucky in Lexington. I'm waiting.
C-A-T-S, cats.
I was waiting for it. Okay. There were 2 different incidents that came up at the clinic that brought the Fugates to the attention of Cowan, that he noticed who they were. So first, a nurse named Rebecca Pendergrass, which to me sounds like a name in Harry Potter.
Yeah, definitely.
Pendergrass, okay, had been attempting for a while to bring attention to the blue people after a dark blue woman came into the clinic. Rebecca thought she was getting really sick, like having a massive heart attack because she was, blue.
Yeah.
But the woman was like, no, it's fine. I'm from the Combs family in Ball Creeks, which is like with Troublesome Creek. So Troublesome Creek or Troublesome Creek and Balls Creek are like next to each other, I think. Okay, so the second incident was when a man named Luke Combs, not the country singer.
I was going to ask.
No, it's not the country singer. Because this is in 1960. When Luke Combs brought his sick wife to a clinic, he rose concerns because his skin was blue. Right? So they're all in the same clinic. They come to the University of Kentucky, this Lexington clinic. And Rebecca, so I don't know how it was connected or whatever, but eventually Rebecca Pendergrass and Madison Cowan went off to the hollars, that's what the blog said, to find more blue people. So somehow it came up that Madison and Rebecca were like both interested in the blue people.
Can you imagine how surreal it would be to just be chilling at your clinic and these blue people walk in and you're like, you're blue. And they're like, oh yeah, it's no big deal.
You're like, but no, you're blue. Like, do you know that? Can you look in the mirror? Your skin is blue.
And they're just like so nonchalant about it.
Or what if they're like, no, we're going to admit you. And then like strap you down and you're like, I'm really just blue. I'm just blue. I'm just a blue girl.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so Rebecca and Madison go off to the hollers to find more blue people.
Right.
So this was kind of funny my abbreviated version is not nearly as funny as the actual story, but they're like, it says they would chase after blue people and then they would run away. So and then like all the blue people's houses had these like 2 dogs in the front of the yards and the dogs would go barking and like, so they would be chasing the blue people.
So the blue people didn't want to be found.
No, because I think they probably were like,
probably gonna be like exploited.
Yeah, or they're just like, people are nosy or, I don't know. I don't know. They didn't want to be found, I guess.
Yeah.
So eventually, Patrick and Rachel Ritchie, that was another family name.
Right.
They are brother and sister. Not married. They're brother and sister. Or are they married too? I don't know. No, I think they just said they were brother and sister. Okay. Arrived at the clinic. And the Cowan said that they were, quote, they were really embarrassed about being blue, end quote. He said, quote, Patrick was all hunched down in the hall. Rachel was leaning against the wall. They wouldn't come into the waiting room. You could tell how much it bothered them to be blue, end quote. Which is really sad because they're just born. I mean, they're just who they are.
Yeah.
Aww. And you can't hide your skin color, guys. This goes into the whole Black Lives, Blue Lives Matters. You can't.
You can
take off a uniform, but you can't change your skin color.
Yep.
Okay. So Colin worked with the Ritchies to track down their family tree, holy Jesus, could you even imagine?
No.
Their family tree. So they're trying to figure out like what was going on. And I think eventually, like once they had the Ritchies like approval, I think other people in the community were willing to be interviewed.
Yeah. And
like talked to and things like that.
Okay.
Once they like, who was it? Like Rachel, or not, what's her name? Rebecca's got their like great aunt to ask questions, or like so then they started to learn more about the family tree, and they were kind of getting more accepted into the community.
Sure.
So people were more open. So they started out by ruling obvious issues like heart and lung disease for blue. They're like, okay, let's get out all these, normal
circulatory stuff,
whatever. So Colin's big break came through when he read E.M. Scott's 1960 report in the Journal of Clinical Investigation, Volume 39, 1960.
Oh, I got that over there.
Okay, great. That's a good put on up. With the Def Leppard record.
Yep, right next to it.
Okay, so Scott, now this is where honestly, guys, I did copy and paste because I don't know a lot of these words.
Okay.
And I did not know how to say it.
Okay.
So Scott had discovered hereditary methylglobinemia among Alaskan Eskimos and Indians. Scott's research had found hereditary methylglobinemia among Alaskan Eskimos and Indians caused by an absence of the enzyme diaphorase from their red blood cells. Okay. Methylglobinemia is a rare hereditary blood disorder that results from excess levels of methemoglobin
Okay.
in the blood.
So it's a blood disorder.
It's a blood disorder. Then
Interesting.
methemoglobin is an oxidized form of hemoglobin that has decreased affinity for oxygen, resulting in a reduced ability to release oxygen to tissues. Mainly, that's the thing you need to know, that this results in brown blood, giving Caucasian patients a bluish hue to their skin. So their blood is not getting enough oxygen.
But that doesn't cause them any other medical issues other than their skin pigment.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah. As far as like for this, I'm
Yeah.
sure some of them have other medical issues.
Yeah.
So Scott also found out that this trait is a recessive trait, meaning that a person would need to inherit 2 genes, one from each parent, in order to have the trait.
Oh.
So someone with only 1 gene would not have it, but could pass the trait to a child.
So Martin obviously had it.
Martin had the recessive trait.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth would have had the recessive trait.
Had 2.
Yeah, so this research is what Scott had done with the Alaskan Eskimos.
Yeah.
And then, so Colin thought, oh my gosh, this matches the blue people of Kentucky, because he couldn't figure out why they were still blue.
Yeah.
And so if this thing, I don't know what it says, but it's like if this, I guess this trait, so, and that if it was present, it was most likely through inbred. So if they had this trait,
They were blue. It was.
yeah, if they had this like recessive trait,
Yeah.
that it would most likely be because of inbreeding.
So was Elizabeth inbred too?
I think at some point in her family,
She had
somebody
to have
must have been, because she would have
Yeah.
had the recessive trait. So in order for Colin to figure out if this was actually what was wrong, he had to collect new blood. So he had to like go study the new blue people's blood
Okay.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So he drives back east to get Rachel and Patrick, the 2 of the blue people. They take him to their uncle Zachariah for blood, who takes them to his Aunt Bessie, who then they probably take him to other people.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they collect blood.
Okay.
So he found that the Fugates' blood has so much of the blue molecule, whatever it is, that it took over the red molecules.
Oh damn.
So yeah.
So Elizabeth she didn't present with the blue skin. Martin did.
Correct.
So that means both of Martin's parents must have been brother and sister too, right?
No, it's not necessarily that they're brother and sister.
Or aunt,
so
or
whatever it is, this
nephew or
recessive
whatever.
trait
Yeah.
is common through inbreeding.
Okay.
So somewhere along Elizabeth and Martin's family lines, there most likely would have been incest.
So then.
that would have created or caused this recessive trait.
Yeah.
So, but then I think the one article had a thing that said if you have 2 with the recessive, it's like a 1 in 4 chance that your child will be blue. So if you have 7 kids,
We had 4.
they had 4 that were blue, but obviously that increased that because
Yeah.
that wouldn't make sense. But so
Yeah.
there's like it's not that every one of your kids will be blue, but there is a probability if you both have the recessive trait.
That's crazy.
But the thing is like Martin was an orphan from somewhere.
Yeah.
Elizabeth was from Kentucky, I'm imagining, and somehow like what weird coincidence that they found each other and they both had that same trait.
That's crazy.
But then because of everybody
Yeah.
inbreeding, it kept going.
Right.
So almost immediately, Colin knew the antidote.
What is the antidote?
I don't know. What do you think it is?
Oxygen. No.
Okay.
I would say oxygen.
Okay. So the answer is more blue.
Oh.
Okay, now this, I have to read it straight because I don't understand science. Okay. So once he had the enzyme deficiency isolated, okay. Oh my gosh, I don't want to say this word. Okay. Methylene, I think it's methylene blue. Methylene blue sprang to Cowan's mind as the perfectly obvious antidote. Obviously, Emily.
Yeah,
Obviously. Some of the blue people thought the doctor was slightly addled for suggesting that a blue dye could turn them pink. I would also be, he's like imagine if a doctor was like, all right, we're going to put more blue into you. And you're like,
be like, no,
what the fuck? But Cowan knew from earlier studies that the body has an alternative method of converting methemoglobin back to normal. Activating it requires adding to the blood a substance that acts as an electron donor. Many substances do this, but Cowan chose methylene blue because it had been used successfully and safely in other cases and because it acts quickly.
Okay.
So whatever it is they're putting in, the substance they're putting in is supposed to, I guess, trigger whatever your body to creating the oxygen, I guess, or to fix the methemoglobin or whatever, is what I'm gathering from that. If you are a science person and you are understanding this more than I am,
not really.
Please message us.
Oh, yes. Listeners,
Listeners, okay. So Cowan packed his black bag and rounded up Nurse Pendergrass, and they went to the Ritchie's house and injected each of them with 100 milligrams of methylene blue. I imagine they probably thought he was fucking bananas.
Yeah.
Like, it would literally is blue. I don't know. See, that's where I wish I was better at science.
Yeah.
And whenever I kept Googling different stories about it, that's what kept coming up. It just was like science. And I'm like, God damn, I really didn't pay attention.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we ever learned any of this.
Well, no, we definitely didn't learn that. So then within a few minutes, the blue color was gone from their skin.
That's crazy.
And they were pink. Minutes.
So is this like something like they have to go get treatment for, or is it just one and done?
I kind of get the vibe it's like one and done.
Okay.
They didn't really say.
Yeah.
I'll investigate some more. They didn't really say anything.
So are there any more blue people?
As far as I know, no. The last one born was that Benjamin Stacy.
Wow.
And I looked, and like almost every single website started their story with Benjamin Stacy. They're like, born on whatever day, or like with Martin Fugate, and then I just talked about the science behind it. So essentially, to recap what I think it is, there's a recessive gene caused by incest that if a person like has this gene or carries it, whatever, it causes there to not be enough oxygen in the blood, which turns their blood to a brownish tint, making them appear blue.
Yeah.
Or like something with like that makes them appear blue.
Like our blood is blue until it hits oxygen.
Okay,
is that
I
true?
heard that too, but then in a trivia, when I was hosting trivia, that was one of my trivia questions, and people were like, no, I've literally seen the inside of a body, and it's not blue. So, yeah, that's why so whatever they have is the blue, like, takes over the red, it kills out the oxygen, like, I'm kind of confused by that. But that's what it is. So people talk about the blue people of Kentucky, and they're just this family who, I mean, that was their way of life for a long time. So, unfortunately, many people have tried to capitalize on the blue people and make fun of the blue people of Kentucky, like, over time. So the doctor, Cowan or whatever, this is what they wrote in this article, was recently approached by the television, this is in 1980 something, this article, but this TV show called That's Incredible, and they wanted to, quote, parade the blue people across the screen in their weekly display of human oddities, end quote.
It sounds like something that would be on like Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah, and the doctor was like, yeah, no, they're just normal people, whatever, and yeah. So because he has a deep respect for the people of Troublesome Creek. Troublesome Creek. So that is the story of the blue people. It's not a super long story, but
it's so I have a funny side adjacent story.
Okay.
So a couple years ago, my mom got a message by this guy on Facebook, and he said he was like a researcher, and he's been like doing some genealogy stuff, and found he's like trying to like isolate some sort of genetic thing, like a disease that was similar to rickets.
Okay.
Not quite rickets, but like similar, and he has reason to believe that like my mom's side of the family, like might be carriers of it.
I think I kind of remember you telling me this.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, it was on May 6th. So what's before May 6th?
Cinco de Mayo.
Yes. So I was incredibly hungover.
What?
Drove to Maysville, where my family is from, and this guy like drew our blood. This like nerdy little scientist man, like drew our blood and like bought us donuts and coffee.
Well, that's kind of nice of him.
We don't have the Jeep. But,
oh, you don't?
No, but like apparently my mom's super into like genealogy and stuff. But apparently like several of my ancestors, or like a couple generations up, had like weird like paralysis, and like their legs were like bowed and stuff. So he thought that we might.
Maybe you would.
We didn't.
I think I've always found genetics so fascinating, like how you inherit certain genes from other people.
Yeah.
And this one, I think is so interesting because like the odds of those two people meeting, and then not only that they met, they happened to live in a very isolated area where I'm imagining in order to survive, and like I'm sure, I mean, incest is not new. While it's disgusting, it's not like a new thing. I mean, Egyptians were like marrying brothers and whatever, so but then not only that they got married, but they ended up in this isolated location where then it was like perpetuated for over a century, like a century. No, over a century.
Yeah.
So, as far as I know, there's no Blue People of Kentucky anymore. Well, one, because of whatever that formula is that he gave them, the methylene blue. And then also because just through general life and people marrying outside of the family and like growth and stuff like that. So there are still family members. Like there's still the Fugate family. Like those families are still present. They are just not blue.
Wow.
But, and then like the fact that, I don't know, I just think it's crazy. And then some of them are blue and some of them aren't.
Yeah, it's crazy how like genetics works.
Yeah, but then they live to like 90s. A lot of them live to be like very old.
I used to love doing Punnett squares.
Are those? Yeah, it's like like little.
I thought it was so fun.
Those were cool.
Find out like he's gonna have blue eyes or whatever.
Okay, but you know what's
Blue
weird
skin.
is that blue skin. I don't even know. Yeah, but like so Leo, baby Leo.
Baby Leo.
Dan has brown eyes and Kelly has I think like hazel or green eyes, and he has the brightest blue.
I think like green is like a wild card.
Yeah, maybe.
Cause isn't blue a recessive trait?
Blue and green are recessive.
Yeah.
Brown's dominant.
Yeah, cause this girl that I went to grade school with, she had like hazel eyes, and both of her parents had blue eyes. And she was like, I can't be my parents' kid because of this. I'm like, no, I don't think that's
right. But I don't know. Maybe those light colored eyes are just a little different.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the story of the Blue People of Kentucky.
I loved it.
Thanks.
Good one.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah.
You got anything exciting planned for next week?
I do.
What is it?
The McRib.
Oh my god!
And if the McRib is in season, I'm going to eat one while I
obviously
give the podcast. But see, that's part of the allure of the McRib is that it's often not on the menu, which is something I will talk about.
Okay, yeah, save it for next week. But other than that, guys, thank you all so much for listening. We know a lot of you are our family and friends, and we really appreciate that because we have so much fun doing it. So the more you keep listening, then we get to keep doing it.
Yeah, and Twisted Sisters official Instagram account liked our post.
They're probably like, oh, great, people know who we are.
Yes! So that was pretty cool. Thanks, Twisted Sister.
Thanks, Twisted Sister. We'll tag you in another one. Why call? We still want you to sponsor us.
Yes.
But anyway, thank you guys so much. We are having fun. Like we said, we love doing this. And hopefully you guys like our stories. I have a murder planned for my next story. So getting really kind of dark.
I love murders.
Yeah. Okay. I know. Just There's like, we were talking about the podcast Morbid today.
I've never
Dana,
listened to
if you're
them.
listening to me, I know you listen to it, so I'm giving you a shout out. We were talking about that today at
I've
school.
never listened to Morbid.
I haven't either. I've heard it's really good though.
Is it like true crime?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
So yeah, please guys, if you have any suggestions, let us know. My friend suggested the murder topic that I'll be covering, so we do want to hear them. You can email us at the darkfilespodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can find us on Instagram at darkfilespodcast or on Twitter at the darkfilespod.
Yes, and I know, make sure you follow our Dark Files Instagram. We're going to try and keep posting more and
Yes.
doing fun stuff. And since probably there aren't that many viewers, maybe we'll do a giveaway or something. And that way that you have like a really good shot of getting something. 'cause
What
there's-
should we give away?
I don't know. We'll have to think of something.
Okay.
A miniature doll of a blue
We
person.
can
or
make a
something.
koozie on the cricket.
Yeah, we should make a koozie. Okay, maybe we'll do that.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, thank you for listening.
And Kasie, what do we say?
Case closed.